Welcome. Today's video is the third in a series of 5 videos on field testing legal documents. This video will review the importance of pre-testing, why this process is both important and helpful to you. We'll also identify the 3 key tester roles, the moderator, observer, and note-taker, and offer guidelines for what these people should and shouldn't do. You'll get the most out of today's video if you've already seen videos 1 and 2. My name is Maria Mindlin, and I'm a linguist and readability expert at Transcend, which is a small language services company in California. I'm working with Anna Heinlein of LawNY and Mary Zimmerman of Idaho Legal Aid to create this video series, which has been funded by an LSC TIG grant. This same LSC TIG grant has funded other plain language and readability tools that you'll be able to find at writeclearly.org. As I mentioned before, this is the third in a series of 5 videos on field testing legal documents. As a reminder, the first video was Prepare Your Text, and that's where we learned to write a highly readable draft, your best possible draft, one that was clear, concise, correct, at the right reading grade level, and short, meaning 1 or 2 pages. Video 2 was about preparing your instrument. And as a reminder, the instrument is the script and the questionnaire that you use in the focus group, and you use it again to record and report your data. So why pretest? Why take the time, the effort, and the extra money that implies to bother doing a pretest? First of all, it serves as a rehearsal for everyone that's in the focus group team. Everyone becomes comfortable with their role and with the script, what they have to say and what they have to do. This makes everything go much more smoothly and seem much more natural and also under control when you get to the actual focus group. It also lets you confirm your logistics. Make sure that everyone knows where they're going to sit. For example, you want to make sure that the moderator and the observer sit in places that don't interfere with the other participants. You'll have to make sure you have all of your materials that you're going to use during the focus group test, and you can confirm that the test in fact takes the amount of time that you expect it to. On our last video, we talked about how people can sort of fizzle out after an hour or an hour and a quarter. So if you do your pretest and you find you're running 2 hours long, then you know that you have a problem that you have to go back and fix. It also has the great advantage of letting you spot things that you may not have seen on the previous version. And I think this is just a human thing. We are all try so hard to make everything perfect, but you may find during this pretest that there are some typos on your document that you can fix. The moderator or the participants, well, let's talk about the moderator. The moderator may find that the way questions are worded are clumsy and it just doesn't flow well off the tongue, and so that will give you a chance to rewrite that and say it in a way that's better and feels more natural. Or some of the questions that you thought were so great and the team thought was so great may actually be ineffective. For example, you could ask a question and none of your participants would understand what it was that you were asking for. And in sort of best and worst case scenario, you could discover a major flaw. So the reason that this is a best case scenario is if you do have something really wrong with the document that you're testing, it's much better to be able to test it now and fix that major flaw before you actually go into your real focus group text. So it really can be a blessing. The last part that can be very helpful is that sometimes it may not be clear to you some of the findings that you have from your actual focus group. So doing this pretest gives you a set of additional data that may or may not support the findings that you have from your focus group, and it can give you a better handle on what to think of the findings that you have. So we talked about sometimes you could have a major flaw. Let me give you an example of one. This is a document that we did quite some time ago, as you can see by the title, when anthrax was a huge scare in the United States. There was a push from Homeland, from CDC, from the health departments to create material that average people could understand. And this was quite a big project, not only involving anthrax, but other bioterror elements. And when we had the pretest, we were able to go through the instrument and ask the questions. And as you can see, we've done a good job at making something that's clear, it's concise, it's at the right reading grade level, the graphics tested well, and let me give you a hint about testing graphics. We don't want to say, can you tell that this is about someone's having a problem with their lungs or breathing? You would say, what does this picture mean? What does it mean to you? And that way you can see if it's revealing the right information. We had questions, particularly the health department CDC people were worried that this image of a phone was really going to be too old for many people to be able to recognize as a phone. But in fact, it tested quite well, so that wasn't a problem. But as we went through the document explaining what anthrax was, how you might get it, how dangerous it is, and then of course you could die, and what the symptoms are, when the symptoms start, what an anthrax attack would look like, somehow the instructions for telling people what to do if they were exposed to anthrax were a bit buried in an unexpected place. And in our first lesson, we talked about readability, how putting things in the middle of a document as opposed to the very beginning or the very end was the least read spot. So from the pretest experience, we learned that the participants really thought that this instruction of what to do and other instructions of do not touch and tell others not to go wash your hands, so on and so forth, was really key. And they were actually quite upset that, what are you doing giving us a little lesson on anthrax, but putting the information that we really need to keep safe over here where we might not even get to it. So that was a big flaw, that when we took it to the larger group of the health department people and the expert reviewers, it really gave us a chance to stop and decide before we went to our actual focus group, we should do something about this so that we can place, should we or shouldn't we, and ultimately we decided that we would, place this information so it was more quickly visible to the reader. So that's a great example of how pretesting can help. Okay, we've talked before about the different people that are on your focus group team. We recommend that there always be 3 people for your 3 distinct roles. The first one is the facilitator, the person who leads the focus group. In your focus group kit materials that we suggested you buy and read to prepare to do focus groups on your own, they refer to that person as the moderator, but it's the same function. There should be a note taker, and we find this is very important to not put the burden of taking all the notes and remembering everything that happens on the facilitator. You want the facilitator to really be focused on talking to the people, encouraging people to talk, making sure that you have a proper flow during your focus group. And it's the note taker's job to take down what people say, how many people said this or that. And so during this pretest, the note taker will get good practice doing that. The note taker doesn't speak during the focus group. The other person that doesn't speak during the focus group is the observer. And this may sound a bit superfluous, but in our experience, it isn't. Focus groups go by fairly quickly, and we already have our facilitator busy keeping the group moving. We have our note taker quietly very busy recording everything that happens, and it can be a lot. And you want to have someone else there that's present and watching. Maybe we'll notice things that the other two didn't notice. You may need someone to confirm, what was it that so-and-so said about this, and am I right in remembering that there was, this sort of question? And the observer is that third person that you can rely on to really create and keep an accurate record of what happened, so that you'll be able to have a good record, a good and complete record of what happened. Okay. So let's go on and talk a little bit more about the facilitator. All right, so if you are the facilitator, here's some very important things to remember. The first is to smile and to be and speak very pleasantly, to be very calm. And the reason that we really want to emphasize this is because you really set the tone for the environment, and you want everyone to feel comfortable, and you want people to feel as if their comments are welcome and valued. So this type of behavior will really set the right tone in order for that to happen. The smiling part is something that we're often unaware of. You may be feeling perfectly pleasant and smiley on the inside, but looking a bit gruff on the outside. So think about the image that you're projecting to other people. In our last video, we talked about validating or repeating what the participant said, and this is a great habit to get into. You have to be quick, you have to keep things going, but you always want to say something to the effect of, okay, great, thank you. Okay, so you think this part isn't clear, and repeat what their contribution was. And of course, it's a way of validating people, but it's also a wonderful way of perhaps clearing up something. If you completely didn't understand what the person said, after you restate it to them, they might say, oh, no, what I was saying was XYZ, not ABC. So it's a wonderful practice on both sides. You want to be very flexible. Often things happen when you do your focus group, even though you've prepped people, and we'll be talking more about that in the next video. People might arrive late, people might arrive with their dog, people might bring their small children. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for all eventualities in a very pleasant way and be able to move forward. Be sure that you address all of your participants by name. The way that we do it at Transcend is when we have people check in, we have name tags available, and they can go ahead and write their own name on their name tag. And that way we can also make sure that we're encouraging each person to participate. For example, if you have a group of 7 people and you find that 4 or 5 of them seem to be giving you their opinions most of the time, then you can address those other two people by their name and say, Anna, what do you think about this part? And you won't be pointing or doing something else that might make them feel uncomfortable. There are times that you want to summarize key points. Let's say, for example, you have two or three people say that they find that this part is really perfect, that it says exactly what you need to know. You might say, well, I'm wondering, so it seems that you feel that this part is really perfect. I'm wondering if the other people agree. And then you could say, well, Anna, Mark, Robert, and you can get a quick yes, no. So you can collect information very efficiently in that way. In the same way, if they say something negative, just handle it the same way. I'm wondering if you also agree with that statement. Keep a good pace. And that means not too slow. Definitely no, you don't want people falling asleep, and not too fast. The more you do it, I think the more intuitive it will appear to you when you have a good opportunity to explore something that seems to be important. And if you're just rushing through to finish up the instrument, you would lose that. And you want to keep people on track. There's some really good information in your focus group kit books about this, but sometimes you may get people that want to talk about their personal situation and are really taking you away from the mission of what you're doing during your focus group. So you have to be able to be prepared and say, oh, okay, let's talk about that after the focus group, or have something fairly positive and firm to tell the person that you're interested in what they're talking about, but you're not going to do it right now. Okay. And a couple of important tips to the facilitator. And the reason that I'm stressing these particular points is I imagine that many of you are like us, that you don't have huge budgets, and there could be times that you're testing your own documents, and you really have to get your head in the right place. If you are very attached to your document and the way that it is, and not feeling 100% open about embracing comments that could be critical or even just different than what you think, then you shouldn't be the facilitator. You have to let someone else do that for you, because you are really affecting the type of data information that would be collected at the focus group. So be honest with yourself, and if you just love that document and don't want it to change too much, then ask someone else to be the facilitator. Here are some other tips. So even though the note taker and the observer aren't using the instrument to say anything, they're not going to be saying anything during the focus group, they also, so the facilitator, the note taker, and the observer, should read carefully the instrument and the document before you pretest. You don't want something to come up as a surprise. So even though this is your rehearsal, it's more like your dress rehearsal. You know, you want to get out the little kinks, and you want the focus group test to go really smoothly. Getting back to the note taker and the observer, they have such an important role, and I think the single most important thing is for them to be able to sit in a way that positions them closely enough to what is being said that they can really catch everything, but without making anyone else feel cramped or uncomfortable. We have found that the best way to get the most accurate and data-rich reports is to write up your notes right after the focus group. The way that we do it at Transcend is we assign the first write-up to one of the three people. We would have all experienced the focus group, but one person, and often that's decided in terms of whose schedule would allow it, will write up the focus group report in the template that I've shared with you previously. And then the other two will be able to edit it using track changes and adding information, correcting information as according to what they experienced. It's often very important for the focus group team members to meet. We tend to write and email everything without meeting, but there's often times that they're complex things and we want to confirm what we witnessed in the focus group before too much time goes by. Okay, and we talked a little bit before about the observer, and I guess I would caution you all, if anyone is listening to this and saying, we don't need an observer, I think a facilitator and a note taker would be enough. Our experience has been is that it's totally worth assigning another person. It's amazingly easy to mishear something or misremember something, and having a third person there to help with recall and to contribute his or her experience is something that will turn out to be very valuable. So again, I'd like to mention that being available immediately after the focus group to be able to write and review is very important. Even pushing it off a day, in my opinion, can lower the quality of your report and make your memory will be a bit more nebulous if a couple of days have gone by. One of the things that happens too if you use our template for the focus group report is you want to be able to offer recommendations to solve any problems with the document that might have come up. And it's much easier to do that if you have everyone's experience very fresh and you can address it right away. So as a team, we're going to let the instrument guide us in terms of what we're talking about and to be able to summarize what the findings were. Did the participants know what the content, the document was about and who it was for? How did they respond to the particular content questions? What were the words that they found difficult? What other words did they suggest we use instead of those difficult words? What improvements did they suggest to the document? And what did they like and what did they dislike? So as you can see, essentially we're mimicking the categories, the data categories that we had in our instrument. As you recall, we had an introduction, we had the content questions, the language questions, the likes, dislikes. We talked a lot about the title and whether that effectively and transparently represented what the document was about, as well as their other suggestions. And this is having the instrument and collecting the data in this way makes it very useful for you in a way, in some ways that you may not anticipate at the beginning. So let me give you a couple of examples. Because we use the same basic template over and over, one of the things that we're very interested in is language. What words, what phrases did people find difficult? An example that probably won't surprise you is we have never had a focus group if we were testing a document that used the word cause, C-A-U-S-E, for case or action, that our focus group participants really seemed to understand what that was about. So we can start gathering those words and refer to a list of words that over time we've had a we've had a growing group of people tell us that they find difficult. So it's like a glossary of terms not to use and what other words they would find easier. In terms of likes and dislikes, you start getting a sense of colors, type, images, length of materials, format for materials that people seem to like and dislike. And this is also information that is very easy to collect in this category database type of format. So not only will you find it useful for your particular focus group test, but I believe that you'll find it useful if you share these for your future documents. And one of my dreams is that there would be a place that we could all get together and share words that people found to be difficult and what words they suggested and likes and dislikes. And I don't think that would be too difficult. So hopefully that will happen in the future. So we're getting to the end of this particular video. And I hope your takeaways will be that pre-testing is a very important and helpful step to take as you prepare for your focus group. It's going to give you all a chance to rehearse, which you'll really need to do, especially if you haven't done this before. Get everyone comfortable in their particular role. It will let you confirm the logistics of how people walk in, where they're going to sit, who's going to greet them, who's going to sign them in. It will let you know if your timing is really working as needed. And it will also give you an opportunity to troubleshoot any problems that come up, so big or small. Last, it's giving all these people an opportunity to practice the focus group report, and you're going to have an extra set of data that you'll be able to compare to the actual focus group. We're at the end of video 3, and I hope it was useful for you. For more information, please do look at your materials in the focus group kit. To get ready for next time, video 4, we're going to be talking about how to recruit participants and how to actually conduct your real focus group test. So we'll tell you on the next video who and how to recruit, why stipends are important, how to prepare the physical environment for the test as well as your materials, and how to troubleshoot possible problems that might come up. That's all for today's video. Thank you very much.